Hello there, and thanks for joining me today. I'm Corel Painter Master Aaron Rutten, and in this video, I'm going to critique some artwork by one of my students. This is artwork by Richard Stalter, and he's completed the second of my landscape painting courses for Corel Painter. This one is Advanced Landscape Painting, and I'll just really quickly show you all four of the assignment paintings, and then we'll look at each one individually. The first is a dead tree on a sunset sky. The second assignment is a stormy sky overlooking a field of grass. The third is a starry sky above a desert. And the fourth is a jungle waterfall. These all look really great, Richard. So let's look at each one of these individually. Now I sent Richard some feedback via email, but I'll go ahead and share that feedback with you. So really the only thing I see that looks strange about this piece are the branches. You have these really wide branches here, but then all of a sudden they get really small. And there are some trees that look that way. But for the most part, when you're drawing a branch, you want it to get thinner as you move towards the end. And then you want the branches to gradually kind of fork off and get smaller. You don't want them to transition too abruptly. And what I mean by too abruptly would be you have thick branch, and then you have these little tiny branches. You know, it just looks kind of strange. It actually doesn't look too bad if you reinforce the bottom a little bit, like so. Then generally speaking, you can kind of make it work. Other than that, though, there's a lot of branches here, and I can tell that Richard spent a lot of time on this tree, and that's awesome. We'll zoom back out. I think the Canadian geese are a nice touch, and the woman on the bench is a really great focal point for the center. If we turn on the layout grid, you can see that Richard did a pretty good job of plotting out his composition. He has his geese over here in this sector. He has his clouds mainly over here. He has his focal point in this sector here. And then his tree takes up these 5 here. So this is a really good composition, and it does a great job of taking advantage of the rule of thirds. So part of the requirements for this course and the previous course were that you had to send me screen captures of your document while you're working on it so that I can see that you're using layers properly. And so Richard's done that here. He sent me a little screen capture, and I can see he's done a great job of making layers for each object in his painting. He has a layer for the sky, he has a layer for the birds, he has a layer for the tree, he has a layer for the bench and lady. And this is perfect because if he needs to fix something, or if he wants to add something or remove something, he can do that really easily. So good job on the layers, Richard. I've also asked students to include a screenshot of their files because I want to make sure that you're saving iterations. So Richard started with file number 1, he saved a copy as file number 2, file number 3, and so on. That way, if something gets messed up a little bit later, you can always go back to an older version without having to start over from the absolute beginning. So you did a great job on saving files, Richard. Let's move on to the next one. Now, I like the little extra details that Richard added. There's some little puddles on the trail here. Maybe that's something I should have added to mine. And everything looks pretty good about this. I like the little details in the background. Looks really stormy. The only thing that looks odd to me is the lightning bolt is maybe too thick or maybe too curvy. Lightning bolts are usually more angular. So what you could do is you could just distort it. Maybe, for instance, you could use the Distorter Brush, try to avoid your rain. Of course, you would want to do this on your layered document if you have your layers, but you could just make some little corners here, smudge things around. Since I don't have the layers, this is a little more tricky for me to do, but you get the idea. You want it to look a little more angular like that. You could also try the Turbulence Brush. Maybe just tap here and there to add a little bit of turbulence to it, so it's kind of zigzagging a little more. And that's just kind of my personal taste in lightning bolts. I would have probably made the line a little bit thinner, just a tiny bit. You could try pinching it also, but you have to watch out for your rain. And more of a glow around the edges wouldn't hurt either. You could make another layer, set it to screen, and then select kind of a bright color to use. Select the glow brush, and just paint right along that edge to give it a little bit of a colored halo surrounding it. Like so. Now it really looks like it's glowing. You have light emanating out of the light. And then last, I think these background trees seem a little too saturated maybe. So what you could do is you could add a new layer. You could fill this layer with black. Then you could set the composite method to color. Then you can add a mask to that layer. Fill that mask with black. Then you can select white and select the airbrush. And you can paint just over those trees to desaturate them a little bit. And then you can play with the layer opacity to control that amount of desaturation. If you have your layered document, you could of course just do something like go to Effects, Tonal Control, Adjust Colors, and then you could adjust the saturation for just that layer without having to add the layer and the mask and all of that. But that just kind of sets those ones in the distance back a little bit by making them not as bright. I think these trees over on the right look okay to me. So that's all I have to say about this one. Let's move on to the next. The desert looks really good. I don't know if I have anything to say about this to improve it. So we can just look at it up close and appreciate it for all of its detail. This one looks really good to me. Let's move on to the next one, which is the waterfall. And in this one, I think that the foreground trees could be a little bit darker because they need to stand out from the trees in the distance. And right now they kind of almost blend together. So on your layered document, you would want to go through and just darken these up a bit. You could either use the underpainting panel to do that, or you could go to Effects, Tonal Control, Adjust Colors, and you could darken it up with the value slider. Or you could use Select Layer Content, create a new layer, set that new layer to the composite method of multiply, and then add a little bit of dark tinting over the top, which is what I'm going to do here. Now I don't have the layers to create the selection, so I'm just going to try to show you as best I can what I mean. Now I'm painting over the background. That's not exactly what I would want to do. Ideally, I would want to just paint over the leaves. But you get the idea. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to decrease the layer opacity a little bit. And if we do a before and after, you can see the effect that that's having. Now I'll also just kind of show you real quick another little trick. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to set the composite method to color and fill it with black, just like we did earlier to desaturate those trees in the second assignment. And we're doing this so that we can get an idea of the light and dark values in the piece, because things that are further away should be a little bit lighter than things that are in the foreground. So for example, I want to create some contrast here. So see how by making these trees darker, they stand out a bit more from the background? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. So other than that, I think this piece looks pretty good. Congratulations, Richard, on completing the Advanced Landscape Painting course. You did a really great job here, and I can't wait to see more of your work. For those of you who are interested in taking this course, it's available for sale on Gumroad. I also have a free landscape painting crash course you can take, which will give you a nice foundation for this course. I also have a third landscape painting course, which is a follow-up to this course, and it'll teach you how to paint the northern lights over a snowy field and palm trees and sand dunes in a desert scene. And scheduled for release on January 28th, 2016, I'm going to be releasing my fourth landscape painting course, which features a lot of the new technology found in Corel Painter 2016, and it'll also teach you how to paint a cabin and architecture in a two-point perspective. So anyways, I hope everyone found this information helpful. If you'd like me to critique your artwork, feel free to send it to me at aaronrutten@gmail.com. If you want to send me the layered document, you can do that. Then I can go through all the layers, or you can just send me a flat image. Either way, make sure to include permission for me to use your artwork in a video in your email. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.